Welcome to a new masterclass from Philip Porto, together with Learn to Lead. My name is Daniela, and I will just make a short introduction about what we will be doing here today. Thank you all for joining. This masterclass is part of a group of masterclasses, a program of masterclasses promoted by Scala Porto together with communities in the ecosystem of the city of Porto. The goal is to bring to the table subjects that are needed in the community to be discussed and to be addressed. And we do this together with communities so the topics can be closer to what the community needs. That's why this session is being promoted together with Learn to Lead, a movement that was created to address leadership and culture topics. So these subjects can be more addressed in the community. That's why we have here today Louise from Fabamac and Sophia from InfraSpeak that created a movement and will be helping us today with the session. Today, we will be discussing the creation and the management of efficient dev teams in a time when being efficient and cost effective is really important for the startups. That's why we have today with us Tony Jimeno and Pedro Torres that will be addressing these two phases. Before we have a team, how can we create the team? And then after we have a team, how can we manage it more efficiently? And with just a small note, you are all muted, but you're very welcome to participate. So you have the chat. Please write your questions on the chat. Let us know if you have any doubts, if you want to contribute, if you want to learn something else from what our speakers are sharing with us today. The session is being recorded so that you know that you will be recorded as well if you enter the session. We will have a Q&A moment at the end. If you enter the session, you will be recorded as well. And the session will be made available after this on our YouTube channel. So no further delays. Let me pass this to Tony. Tony, please let us know how can we create an efficient dev team? Tony, welcome.
Hello, everyone. Well, first, thank you for having me, and thank you, everyone, for coming. And as Daniel said, please feel free to ask anything in the chat. I think that's for you to get the most value of the session. And also, I'll make you interact during the presentation. So get ready, and because this way, we can get the most of this presentation. So my goal today is to share you a methodology that it comes from the digital marketing world, but apply to attract talent to our companies, and how we can do it in a way that we can leverage what we already have in our own company. Okay. So first, I want to set up why we should be doing this, and then what we can do. So the first thing we need to understand is that people, or the world has changed completely, and people are looking, and more in the startup, in the tech world, are looking for more than just a job and a salary or a position. They're looking to develop themselves. They are looking to feel fulfilled with their job. They're looking for different stuff. And at the end, what we want is people who feel that they're part of something, and people want to feel part of something. We've been wanting this for a long time. When we were kids, we wanted to belong in a group. When we are in the university, the same. When we are older, we want to belong to a group. We want to belong to a group of people, so we feel more fulfilled. And in the other side, as a companies, what we want is people that is engaged with us and is committed to what we are doing. So how we can get this? So in order to understand what motivates people, or how we can have people engage with our company, so the impact and the contribution they have in their work is higher. I want to make this kind of pyramid like the Maslow pyramid, but for work engagement. So the first level will be the what we offer. No, that usually is the salary, and now more and more the perks. What benefits do we offer to the people that is working with us? Then the second level is we start with the how, is the market value. It's the market value because it's the development of the people who work with us. Because at the end, it's like if we develop people, they learn with us, they grow with us, like their market value obviously increases. So people, well, and now we hear that a lot. Oh, I want to go in this project because I'm going to be growing, I'm going to be learning. Or people leave projects not because you don't pay me enough. I leave because I'm not growing anymore, or I'm not learning anymore. So that's better than just like salary, because when we are engaged in salary level, if someone comes and offers me more money, I just leave because I'm just working for the salary, or I'm just working for the perks. And so when we make sure that they are developing in our company and they're learning, we have a better engagement with them. So if just someone comes with money, it's more difficult to steal someone or to make someone move to another company. And then the next level of engagement is the culture of our company. How is it working in our company? What values, what we value as a company, and what are our ways of working? It's like the hierarchy, it's like how we communicate, how we interact with the team, how is but the same way you create a group of friends that you share like a culture, share some values, the same as a company. It's like, do I belong here? Like that's a really strong sentiment. Like, do I belong in this group of people to do what we do? And that's another thing. Like, okay, I'm growing, but also like I really feel that I'm part of this company. So whenever companies want to attract talent, or we want to take or attract or like steal talent from other companies, or they want to hire people from our company, if we have a really strong culture, if people really feel they belong and they are part of a group of people that understand each other, part of a group of friends, it will be much more difficult, and also people will be much more engaged if they feel like they are a part of this group and not just working and renting their time. And the last point that I think is the most difficult, but is something that we should aim as well, it's in the purpose level. It's like, okay, why do I work here? What's what we want to achieve? That usually sometimes we forget about this, like why we created this company in the first way. So that will be the purpose of the company. And we want people to join us because they also believe, or they have this vision that they want to achieve with us the same purpose. Obviously, as I said, like it's a pyramid, and that will be like the different levels. So but the last one will be like the purpose, but we want to achieve all of them. So now having this in mind, what we see is like, okay, what we do to attract talent, what we do so we see like the recruiting techniques that we are using right now to attract top talent, they're not working anymore, because what we do usually, we post and pray, we go to job portals, we post job offers, but just explaining the perks, just explaining the benefits. We don't focus so much in the culture, we don't focus so much in the market value, we don't focus so much on the purpose. So it will be like super difficult just posting job offers, explaining what the person will be doing and what are the requirements that people want to join us and wants to and feel engaged already before even applying. So we have to change completely the way we post job offers and we create job offers. We'll see that later. And second, what we do is or we reach people directly, or we go to headhunters to make them help us to hire people. But it's the same problem. They focus on the benefits and the position on what the person will be doing, but they're not focusing on what the person will be learning, what is the company, what is the culture of the company, what is the purpose of the company, that at the end, that is what's gonna drive performance to the people. And we see, and more for tech talent, the tech talent at the end, in the benefits and salary, and Pedro will tell us better later, they don't move anymore for just salary. They want to keep learning, they want to belong to a group, to belong to a company that they believe in the way they are working. A lot of people is asking, okay, what stack do you use? How do you organize as a team? What kind of dailies, what kind of meetings do you do? What methodologies? That's the ways of working. It's not what you will pay me. It's not if you offer me flexibility or not. So that's why we created the inbound recruiting methodology. Today we're just gonna see a peek of it, because obviously because of the time frame. But what I want you to have in mind is that we want to create a methodology to attract talent, like it was like the same methodology to attract customers. When we attract customers, we put customer in the center, and we think, okay, what the customer wants, what our customer wants, and what are their needs, and we want to fulfill them. So when we recruit, we should put the same way, the same mindset. okay, what the candidate wants. Because we have a product as well, we will see it, the product of working in our company. So it has no sense when we approach recruiting saying, hey, we're looking for someone, because when you approach to get new customers, you don't say, hey, we're looking for new customers. No, you highlight the benefits, you highlight what the customer wants instead of saying you want customers. So these 4 stages that we want, there's talent out there and we want to attract them, and now we'll see how we can do it, is to get to know us, and if there's a fit, if like people like it, we want to convert them in candidates and then provide the best experience, because obviously like some candidates will be hires and will become employees, and some they won't, but still like they are having an experience with our brand. And then the people who already work with us, they can become promoters as well. And I think that today we won't see much about this, but you have an army. If you have like 4 people in the company, you already have 4 promoters that can attract talent for you. If you have 20, you have 20 people that can help you attract talent for you. So you can leverage your people as well to attract talent. So the first thing we need to know before we do anything in recruiting, okay, who do we want to hire? Who is our candidate persona? Like the same way we know who is our customer and what are the needs, we want to identify who is our candidate persona. Who do we want to hire? But not just about soft skills, hard skills, what experience this person, if not like what this person thinks, feels, wants in a company, etc. So today I just give you a sample of questions that you can use to identify your candidate persona. So I challenge you today to go to your peers or to go online and ask them these questions like, okay, if I want to hire like tech developers, I go to the developers in my team that I would like to clone, the ones that I think, okay, these people they're perfect for our company. They're committed, they are producing great products, so I want more of them. So I go to them and I say, hey, what do you like about working in our company? And tell me all the reasons and why you like them. And they're telling you already what you should communicate later. Or what do you value the most about your peers? Okay, how is it working here? What do you value of this? Or what motivates you? Especially, there are different questions to get all the benefits. Or also like, okay, what's a normal day for you and what do you do that you like? Or also you can use like what are your fears or doubts? What were your fears or doubts before joining here? Because that's things that you should also answer, because if they had these doubts, a lot of people is having them. So once you have all these reasons, but I will focus on the benefits, like, okay, you have to know the real reasons that people are working for you and they are happy by working with you. So you have to get this and leverage them. So I would like to play a game with you now. So, and we can do it in the chat, and I'll check your answer as well. So, but my first question of the game will be, okay, what are the reasons that you tell to a candidate whenever he is like considering working for you or for another company that they should join your company? Do you know the reasons that you tell them? Can you write them in the chat a little bit? Just like a couple of them if you want. If not, it will be like a word you can do later, like to realize what is your value proposition for the people. But usually it's like, what do you tell to candidates in order to convince them to work with you? If anyone wants to share it in the chat, there will be a little promotion as well. Say people, culture, people, and craft. Fantastic. Then will be like the second answer for doing this exercise will be, why do you work in this company? What are the reasons that you choose and why you are staying and working here? So you have to know these reasons as well, because you already know it. So, and Sergio says team spirit, fantastic. So that's the thing that you have to answer. And the company values, then we'll hear like here for the sake of the exercise, we'll keep it short, but then it's like, okay, what are these company values and how you live them? And then the third is like, okay, if I offer you 10 million euros to go to work to your competitor, what you will miss, or what will be the downsides of living your own company? What you will miss the most of your company? These are questions in order to get also the benefits of working in your own company. Okay, so when you have all the answers, when you have all these answers, the answers when you create a candidate persona, and the answers when you are doing this exercise right now, you already are telling me in the chat. my question is, okay, someone that evaluates your company, that goes to your, for instance, your website or your social networks, do they see all these reasons, all the reasons that you are telling me that you are working in your company, that people who is happy working with you, we're telling, do they see all these reasons in your website, in your social networks? Because that's the real reasons you're working in your company. And if you don't promote this in your career page, that's the first thing we're gonna see. You're like selling without a website. Like, do you imagine selling, like having a website, not having a website, having a business, but not having a website explaining who are we, why are we special, what are our products, what are the benefits of it? So it's the same. So the first thing to attract talent, and I think that you can easily create with your marketing team, is you need a career page. You need a page that sells the product that is working in your company. And now we'll see super fast, for the sake of time, what are the elements of it. But you have to explain in your career page, who are you, why do you exist, like what's your purpose, like why you are here, why anybody should work for you, like those all the reasons that you are telling me in the chat, like team spirit, company values, the craft. So explain me all of this. How is it working there? What is the day-to-day? I need to see it. And then all the employee value proposition things that, okay, how do you develop this person? How you make them better? What are the perks? What are the benefits? And then use testimonials. Use your own employees in order to certify that what you are explaining it's real, and let's hear it from them. Okay? Because right now the first obstacle that people have is not knowing how is it working to work in any company. And if we want to attract talent, in order to they match with our purpose, with our values, with our culture, we need to explain this in the first place. So my question will be as well, like, how many of you explain this in your career page? And if not, like, you can, as we were saying here, you talk to your marketing team. Let's create a website in our website, a page in our website that is super easy done. And it's like, okay, let's create content, and you can create it and co-create it with your peers already. And now it's a good time to do it. So what should you explain in the career page? Okay, why anybody should join you? You can explain in one sentence your purpose or the main reason somebody should join you to work in your company. Second, what makes you special? You can explain here the values and explain, as I was saying before, how do you live these values? Okay, what these values mean to you and how do you live in your day-to-day? Or the perks, show me photos, explain me the different perks that you're working here. Obviously, like, I'm making it super short, but so you get the idea. And then, like, show me pictures, show me videos, show me all the things that people value when you do the candidate persona. They say, oh, I love the dailies we do, I love the team, I love the after works we're doing, I love it, whatever they love, show it. Put pictures, put the explanation of the pictures, so people can imagine if they see themselves working in your company or not. And then you can use also, like, frequently asked questions is from a company here in Porto Mindera that also, like, I think they are really funny. So you can use, like, with the doubts that people or the fears that people have or anything that people ask you, you can use this page as well to answer all of these questions so people can see if they're gonna fit in your company. Because what we want is not people that can just do the job. We want people that they will match, like, your culture, your purpose, everything, so they will be more engaged and the performance of these people will be much higher. And then you say, okay, Tony, like, I don't create websites every day, but I'm still wanting to attract talent. So as I say, like, every day you're doing websites. Every day that you are posting job offers, you're doing websites. And you have to see your job offers as landing pages that you want to convert people, but you have to sell a job position. So first, put an attractive title, then focus on the benefits. Explain all the benefits of working in your company, not just the perks, if not all the benefits, the candidate persona, the person that you interview, if you are looking for a developer, ask them, okay, what do you value the most? And these reasons should be the first ones to introduce there. And then you will explain me the requirements and the missions of these people. Not what they're gonna be doing, if not why they should be doing this, and what's the purpose of each of the actions that they're gonna be doing. If they are developing some stuff, you're gonna be developing, but show me the mission of these people inside the company. I think that's the most important part. And then also you can use videos. Why not the team lead is explaining the project in the job offer? and you can explain in 1 minute. Or you, if you are the recruiter, or even if you are the founder, you can explain the project, you can explain the position in 1 minute, 1 minute and a half, and you put it in the job position, so people can start feeling how you talk, how you explain the project, and they can see if they match. And by doing this, by changing the way we create job offers, you will see that the people who apply, they are like, they have a better a better match what you are looking for, not just in the hard skills, soft skills, if not also to your company. And then also you can use your social networks to do social recruiting. So you can show how is your day-to-day. You can show all these moments and explain this, because these have like a huge engagement in social networks, and that can help you attract a lot of talent. Like I want to show you 2 examples. Here we're explaining an initiative that we are doing, like talking in English during on Wednesdays, just to practice English in our company, because we're a company based in Barcelona. So we had like I think 4,000 followers, but look the impression, look the click, look the likes, and the same here. When we hire someone, we explain, hey, we've been hiring this person, finally we have it, we introduce to everyone, and we say like, how was like the first day for this person? And look how many clicks to the career page. Like we had like 2,000 clicks going to our career page to see who we were as a company and if they were job openings. So just with 1 post, and it's for free. And you can do it. You take a picture, you explain the history behind it, and it's super easy. Or you have Instagram, the same. When people is joining, you can do histories, you can do stuff. And so people will start seeing your followers, your fans that already like your company, they will see that you have openings and they can like spread the word, okay? And to finish, today we just like super fast. I just wanted to like get you some inspiration at the end. What I want is like, okay, the same way you try to attract customers, you can attract talent, and you should focus on what is really important, not what the people will be doing. If not, it's like why they should join you and all the reasons that people who's already in your company really values about your company. And also like the last point I want to make here is like, use your people to attract more talent. Use them as promoters. They can post stuff in social media. They have a lot of contacts that with that post, they can reach and they can start attracting to your own company. You can sit down with them and ask them, hey, do you know anyone here? Let's check your LinkedIn in order to bring more talent. So you can use a lot of tools that are free. All of this is free. It's time to set up your website. It's time to create the job offers, but everything is free. And I think you can leverage this in order to attract better talent. So my question is, are you ready to transform the way you recruit? So thank you, and I hope I'm on time. And if you have questions, I'll be super happy to answer them.
You're super on time, Tony. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I have a few questions. We can keep it to the end, but or we can do it now. If you have your questions, please post them on the chat. Meanwhile, Luis, Pedro, do you have any comments? Pedro, I saw that you wrote culture, people, and craft as big assets to get people in. Do you want to comment on that?
Sure. This kind of really kind of resonated with me when I saw that pyramid, because one of the things that we usually see is that companies always kind of tend to really focus on salaries and perks. But at the end of the day, that can be very interesting for someone for the short period of time. But then just like what Tony asked for everyone, like, okay, but what about if someone offers you more money? And if the motivation is just the money, people won't tend to stay for long because they are not tied to anything else besides the perks and the salaries. That's why kind of, talking about the culture, so the way that you do things, what you believe in, the people that you have surrounding you. So not only to work with, but also, to get coached to learn from them. And also the notion that you can get better at your job every day while working at the company. To me, I think that's kind of the value proposition that people should be looking for.
Yeah, Tony, we have here a question from Carlos G saying that, well, you were mentioning a lot on promoting the image of the company using the employers that you currently have. And Carlos asks, how do you deal when people don't want to engage with that strategy, when people are afraid of sharing their image on social media?
I think the first thing is like to make them understand why we are doing this, because it's not for the benefit of the company itself, it's for the benefit of themselves. Because if they help to attract talent, they help to build and the real image of the and help to communicate the real image of the company and make it more attractive, the people that will come to work with them, they will be better, and so they will become better. And sometimes we forget about this, and if we were in HR, we like, help me find, but they don't realize that these people is not, they are not doing a favor to HR, they're doing a favor to themselves. And I mean, Google, until, I don't know, they were like 40,000 employees, like just 20% of their time they were just recruiting, because they were saying, okay, we need our people to be recruiting and to bring the best talent, and it's not something HR should be doing by themselves. And sometimes being part of a company, recruiting should be like everyone's job, because you want the best people to join your team and you want to work with the best people. It's not something you go to work for a company, I do my work and I leave. It's like, that's why I was telling, like, if you feel that you belong to that company, you believe in the purpose or you believe in the culture, and you want to work with people that is good and they are committed to what we are doing, at the end, like when they say, hey, let's do testimonials, why not? Like, why you don't want to explain you are ashamed of what we are doing? No, you should be proud of what we are doing, the software we're developing, and to be willing to wear a t-shirt as well, like showing the name of your company, because you're proud of what you're doing, and see the real benefits for you. Sometimes we forget and we don't explain well the benefits. So it's like, hey, we are hiring a new developer that will be your colleague. You will work with them day to day. You don't want to help us to craft a better job offer in order to explain, so the people who come work with us match perfectly and maybe will become your best friend, and you will be spending so much time with them or with that person. You don't want to help us with that. So at the end, it's like they are not making a favor to the company, they are making a favor to themselves. And I think that's the first thing you have to make sure, that make them understand that they are making a favor to themselves.
Luis, you have a question for Tony as well.
Yes, first of all, I'm not using a Mac t-shirt because I ate too much during this quarantine and I cannot fit in a t-shirt. And secondly, I know that you lived here for a while, Tony, in Porto, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to know your perspective regarding tech companies and as well other companies, because other companies are doing employee branding, for example, Primor, which is not a tech company here in Porto. And I wanted to know your perspective, how we are developing employer branding here in our ecosystem.
So the first thing is I didn't know, because I didn't come for job purposes, I come for love purposes. And because since I do projects with companies, I do trainings, I travel, and then I can stay whatever. But I got like super surprised with the level of the companies here and the awareness of the culture, because like we started to organize a meetup here in Porto with for HR people, and there were like a lot of tech companies, but also like other companies like in fashion, super aware that they want to work their employer brand. And the good thing is like they have a really cool cultures. So that's the best thing to have. Like you have a good culture, the easiest part is to communicate it. But sometimes when people fail here, they don't know how to communicate it, how to craft this brand. So I've been visiting some companies that I got surprised at the level of how they work. But then when you go to the career pages, they are super pure. Like you go there and you don't see this information. And then you have like really good companies to look at, Farfetch, Leap, they're doing a really good job about communicating all of this. But there are other companies Mindera, like it was a surprise for me, and the mindset they have, I was like, wow, I never met like, so here you have an awareness like really high about the culture and how important is the culture of the company, that probably in Barcelona, that's where I come from, I haven't seen that many companies with that mindset putting that much importance. So you got like the cornerstone is what you have, but I think the part is missing is like the way we communicate. Like a lot of companies still they have like a huge opportunity about communicating better. I was like, I met the people from InfraSpeak, and I know them beforehand. They have like a career page, and I was telling them, I was like, hey, you have a very cool culture. You are doing a lot of stuff. If you want to attract talent, you should be sharing all what you do, because you're already doing it. So share it, put it in the website, put it in social networks, and now you see and you get a better sense of who they are, how is it working there. So, and I think for most of the people, it's like, hey, it's my company cool? Yes. So share it, just because that will make your own employees more proud, and people will feel more proud of where they're working. When you're creating employer branding stuff, people feel more engaged with the company, because when you start sharing stuff in social media and people that are part of it, when you share testimonials, okay, explain me how has been your experience here. Oh, and you make them part of the company. So you get more people more engaged and more like loyal to your company, but also helps you attract talent. So my thing is, I have to congratulate, and I'm super glad to be part of this Porto ecosystem, because I really enjoy like the way you take care of the culture. And yeah, you have like the easiest part that is just to communicate. And I hope today with this super short session, you get some ideas of how you can start communicating at least. And yeah.
Thank you.
Sophia has a question now. Maybe Sophia, shall we save it for later, and we will put it together with Pedro's as well. So let's move to the management of the team. Right now, how to make the team efficient when you have to be more aware of your resources. Pedro, do you want to speak on this?
Oh, sure, absolutely. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for inviting me. Really happy to see some familiar faces, which actually kind of, I'm really excited with that opportunity. Some folks from long time ago, some people that are a little bit more recent in my life. And just like a disclaimer, I'm not going to talk about kind of COVID and kind of sticking people at home and things about that. Maybe I'm going to give like a hint or two about some sort of things that I really believe they should be in place regardless of where you are. And maybe today they are even more important, but definitely I'm going to take like a presentation that it's valid if we were kind of presenting this, let's say in December last year, for instance, where we pretty much didn't have a single idea of what was coming. So after the brilliant presentation from Tony, now my part is actually to kind of to give some highlights, some insights about managing a development team in a very efficient way. Danielle already kind of presented me, so my name is Pedro. I usually, actually this is quite funny because whenever I'm presenting in English, I say it with a Spanish accent because that's the way people kind of try to know me. So I've always said that my name is Pedro Torres. And so it's kind of very weird kind of Spanish English accent instead of saying Pedro Torres, which no one pretty much understands that. But well, long story short, currently I'm Director of Software Engineering at Salsify, which is a company that has its EMEA office in Lisbon, not in Porto, unfortunately, but it is in Lisbon, in the capital of Portugal, and the headquarters is based in Boston. If you don't know what Salsify is, pretty much is a platform that helps brands win on the digital shelf. And if you want to know more about that, you can ask me later. Looking to me, well, I'm quite old, okay? So I'm over 40. I started as a regular software engineer. But if I kind of just look to my career in terms of management, I think that I have more or less a little bit over 12 years of experience running engineering teams, which kind of means that more than 100 engineers already kind of work with me. So hopefully they can actually say something interesting about it. One thing that I definitely love is actually to help, any sort of company, regardless of being a startup, a scale-up, maybe a blue chip, so like a huge company, to succeed, because I believe that that's something that if we all in the community can actually kind of help and give some tips, we definitely are going to make the entire ecosystem much better for everyone. So let's start from the beginning. So let's kind of frame the problem that we are going to discuss right now, that is about kind of managing a team, right? Or maybe we're not talking about a problem, but actually a challenge. So as you heard from Tony, the first part is definitely hiring the right people. So you put a lot of effort, a lot of investment in attracting the right people to your company. And as you can see, you have a lot of very different ways to do that. But that's not just the journey, right? So you have like an entire second part of it that is, okay, now that we actually attract hopefully the right people, how can we retain them? How can we make sure that they want to stay in the company? Because remember, it really doesn't matter how much branding and advertising you do, because at the end of the day, if people arrive and they don't see any of the things that you are kind of showing on the social networks or what you're telling to the candidates, people will leave. And trust me, they will leave fast, maybe like in a week. So this is a kind of how it works. So you really need to make sure first that people have the right motives to stay. And when I'm saying the right motives is because people might stay for the wrong motives, being salary, because we are in a COVID situation, so people are afraid of moving into another job. So you want to make sure that you retain them, but they are actually happy and you're keeping them for the right motives. As soon as you keep them, definitely you need to develop them, right? So when you hire someone, you have almost like a shared, and I'm saying a shared because this is not just on the company, it's also on the person, but you have a shared responsibility of developing the people that are with you. Yes, definitely, I usually tell my people that they are on the driving seat and I'm next to them, helping them develop their careers. But at the end of the day, this is hand to hand between, the person and the company. Last but not least, the very important too is people need to be successful in the company, because trust me, regardless of keeping people and developing them, if they don't achieve success, if they don't deliver that project or that product, if they don't kind of feel as part of the success of a company, people will tend to pile up on frustration, and that usually will tend to make people leave too. So you can't be happy or just kind of growing and loving to stay in the company if you don't feel that you're achieving and succeeding in what you're doing. So now that we kind of framed this, so how can we address it? So we talked about retention, we were talking about developing people, we're talking about making them successful. How do we do it? Pretty much my belief is that we have like 3 things to sort this out. And the first one is clarity. So, when you have a team and you want that team to be managed efficiently, for that team to be successful, they need to have clarity on what they are going to do. So when you group a team to do something, regardless of being a project or a product, something, what are the outcomes that we expect to achieve as a team? Because it's very different to say what the team needs to do, but it's a completely different game telling them why they should do it. So a team to be successful, they really need to have clarity on their work, their scope, their duties, their obligations, so they are really well informed in what they have ahead of them. Then after they know what they should do and why they should do it, they need competence. So pretty much competence is like the talent, the craft, the know-how to achieve the outcomes that we expect them to achieve, right? Because we can actually tell someone to say, hey, this is our mission, this is like the purpose of a team, but if the team doesn't know how to get there, they will never be successful, or they will going to struggle a lot, and it's going to be a painful journey. So besides clarity, you definitely need to bring competence to the team too. And then the last piece is the autonomy of a team, right? So we want the team to be successful, so the team needs to be able to make decisions, taking consideration the outcomes that they know they need to achieve, and taking consideration the competence that they have. So these are like the 3 main pillars of any successful team: it's clarity, competence, and autonomy. And as you can see, these 3 pillars, they are intertwined. They're all connected. Because again, you can have as much clarity as you want. If you don't have the competence, you're never going to get there. Well, if you have the competence, but you don't know exactly what you need to do, you're not going to be successful either. And you can be as autonomous as you like, but at the end of the day, if you don't know how to do it or even what needs to be done, it won't work. So this is why this is like the 3 pillars, and they really need to be working side by side, making sure that we can take advantage of all of them. And when I'm talking about clarity, this is pretty much a team understanding the why. We actually have a book that it says always start with the why. We saw the pyramid from Tony that kind of right on the top, it's the why. And it's all about why are we doing what we are being asked to do? Like if we are asking a team to do something, why are we doing that? What's the impact of doing that? Are we fixing a bug for some important customer? Are we delivering a new project that is going to bring a new customer base? It's going to bring 1,000 new customers, or is going to increase our revenue by X? This is like what actually motivates the team, right? It's understanding why they are doing what they are being asked to do, which obviously ties also to the purpose, right? A mission shouldn't be just a team shouldn't be just a group of people that are doing what they are being told. They should have a purpose. They should have some sort of meaning, like we are creating this team because we want to launch an entire new product that is going to take this sort of impact to the company, to the industry, maybe even to the world, depending on the sort of scale that you're operating. And maybe even in a higher level, maybe you actually should have a mission as a team, right? We saw SpaceX. They had a very clear mission of what they wanted to achieve, right? So I'm pretty sure that you can't get more motivated than this if you know why you're doing it, you understand the purpose, and you have like a mission. So you actually have like a shared understanding and a goal of where you want to go and the sort of impact that you want to cause. So this is clarity. Then you have the competence, right? And competence mainly is about knowledge acquisition. So if I'm expected to do something, how can I do it? Where can I learn from? And this is actually a little bit kind of tricky here, because I think that today companies really rely a lot on learning on the job, saying, okay, so we are going to adopt a new technology. Don't worry, we'll just start working on that and we'll figure that out. And although this might be effective, it's definitely not efficient. And the other thing that is also very interesting is that we tend to rely a lot on conferences for people to acquire knowledge. So instead of having in-class trainings, no, let's go to a conference about technology or about this or about that. And trust me, although it's very interesting because you're going to visit a new city, you're going to go meet new people, maybe spend some time with your colleagues and kind of having some sort of team building because you're going out for drinks and all that sort of stuff that people love, you won't learn a lot from a conference. And let's face it, you have tons of conferences that post all their videos on YouTube. So when you're talking about knowledge acquisition, make sure that you're actually giving the right tools for your people to learn something new, instead of just kind of going for what is called the standard of an industry, hoping that it should be fine. Because again, you should always kind of challenge dogmas and the status quo and see exactly what should be done for the best in terms of knowledge acquisition. Then also very important is seniority versus juniority. So one thing that companies need to decide, and maybe they won't decide on purpose, but at the end of the day, it's a decision that is made, it's the ratio between senior people and junior people. Because again, if you have, let's say, a pyramid like this, where you have more senior people than junior, then trust me, I would love to be a junior in that company, because I'm going to have so many role models, so many people that are kind of willing to coach me and to mentor me. It's going to be a sustainable company in terms of knowledge for sure. Maybe not in terms of money and salaries, but definitely in terms of knowledge. It's going to be perfect because people will actually kind of have a lot of opportunities to learn and to evolve. But if the pyramid is like this, and say that the base is much more with juniors than seniors, it's going to be much more hard for juniors to be ramp up, to learn new things. Why? Because you have senior people. And let's face it, we demand a lot from senior people. They are always super busy. So if you start kind of hiring and making your team with a lot of junior people with very few seniors, the sustainability of knowledge of your company is going to die as you go, because you don't have a good and sustainable ratio between seniors and juniors. So this is something that is really, really important. And then obviously, the last piece of the competence is done it versus doing it. So if we want to experiment something new, if we want to grab a new technology, or we want to launch a new product, it's much easier for us to go and find someone that already did it in the past, and we are grabbing him. He has the knowledge, he has the experience, the right experience, and he's going to help us to get there, than kind of just learning by ourselves. Again, it doesn't mean that you won't get to the end at the end of the day, but it's going to be much more painful, and it's going to cost you much more because you need to learn everything and you're going to make mistakes. So why not grabbing help from someone that already kind of did them and can actually teach you a lot of things and maybe save you from a couple of pitfalls. So this one is really important. And then obviously now talking about autonomy. Autonomy, it's a a brilliant tool. It's the thing that as soon as you start working with autonomy, it's going to kind of open up an entire new world to you. But autonomy, it's pretty much useless if you don't have psychological safety. Actually, a couple of years ago, Google kind of published a study that did mention that a successful Google team, the number one characteristic was psychological safety. Because if I'm afraid of making a mistake, because I'll get punished, for instance, well, then trust me, I don't need autonomy. I rather have someone telling me what to do because I don't want to get punished, right? We've been taught like that since we were kids. So autonomy can only work if we are safe. We are safe to make mistakes. We are safe to learn and to be better. Also very important is that, you know, one very famous person, in this case, Kent Beck, wrote on Twitter, and it was quite insightful, that is, autonomy without accountability is like vacation. Because although I'm autonomous and I'm free to make decisions and to kind of, you know, to move fast, I'm accountable for my decisions. So regardless of how autonomous I am, I really need to explain why am I making this sort of decision? Why are we making this sort of movement? So because we are autonomous, it doesn't mean that this is an anarchy. You always need to be accountable for what you're doing, which is different from being punished. And then also very important is, if we have autonomy at the team level, if we can make our decisions, if we can decide if we go left or right without kind of waiting for a CEO or a VP to make a decision on our behalf, we are going to be much more faster. And I'm not talking about Agile and Scrum, I'm talking about real agility, moving fast, acting to feedback, hearing customers and making decisions on the fly. This is actually what kind of works for autonomy. It's like we are in the trenches and we can actually make the decisions there where you have the information. We are not going to escalate this for 2 or 3 people to make a decision and to act, because remember, your competitors are not waiting for you to make a decision. And, you know, with all of these that we've just mentioned, so clarity, competence, and autonomy, there is actually a very interesting side effect of all of this. That is the growth of your people, you know, because if they know exactly what needs to be done, the outcomes that are expected, if they know how to do it, and they are empowered, they are autonomous to make the decisions to get there, you're going to grow much more in this sort of environment in 1 year than probably in 5 or 10 in a very different environment where you're just being told what to do. So this is like the huge difference in terms of the not only company results, but also in the personal sphere, your own personal and professional development. So one thing that I was asked to do here today was actually kind of to bring like practical examples, right? Like this is like the theory, what I believe, what I've been, kind of the principles and the values that kind of makes me do what I believe I should do and makes me kind of say what I believe should be said. But how can we make this real? So kind of practical tips that you can use on a day-to-day. Maybe you can use it right this afternoon or maybe tomorrow, but definitely it's things that if you do, we're going to get you closer to the sort of mindset and posture that I've just showed with that 3 pillars. So let's start. The first one that I always love to say is be mindful of one's time. And what do I mean with this? When you're managing a team, the team has its own sort of rhythm, its own sort of dynamic. And sometimes it's really tempting to be on the weekend. And I just read something that is super interesting. And I'm the manager of that team. I say, oh my God, I want to share this with the team. You can actually have 2 options. One, share it on Monday and allow your team to rest on the weekend because they are entitled to rest. Remember that, right? We might have friends, family, we're going on vacation, we have our own sort of things to do. If you don't respect the team's time and let's say at 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m., you're sending them information, you're reaching them through Slack, through email, regardless of being from work or just stuff that you read, you're actually not respecting the people's rest. And remember, if people are not entitled to rest and to enjoy their lives too, we will never be successful managing that team because we are not showing the respect that people deserve. And also very important, remember, just because you're really excited about that subject, the other people can actually, you know, it's fine for them to spend some time with their family or watching a Netflix. They shouldn't be disturbed out of office hours. Obviously, if it is an emergency, it's different. But if it's just about work, you know, work can wait for the next day. Also very important, set the example. If you're the manager, if you're a leader, you really need to practice what you preach. It really doesn't matter if you say, hey, you should all rest on the weekend, but if in the weekend I'm kind of scheduling meetings or I'm sending them messages, well, pretty much I'm not doing what I'm saying that they should do. So, you know, one of the things that people usually ask me is, oh, Pedro, how can you make the team do X or Y? Well, if I'm a leader and I'm doing that, people will do it too because they follow leaders, you know, and this is all about kind of the basis of the servant leadership. But if you're just kind of telling them something that you don't do at the end of the day, like taking vacations. Oh no, everyone should take vacations, but I'm a workaholic and I don't take vacations for a year. Trust me, people won't take a lot of vacations because I'm not setting the right example. Keep your promises. Don't ever disappoint your people. So this can actually be tied with what Tony presented. So we are talking about, you know, kind of, this is how we work. This is how life is at company X. Keep your promises. When people arrive, they are expecting to see that. If they are not seeing that, they will get disappointed. And there is actually one very important thing that is called the psychological contract. That is the contract that you sign with your mind with that company, that as soon as it gets broken, you will never fix it again. So you just lost that person. If you're promising a salary raise, if you're promising a promotion, make sure that you fulfill your promises. People expect that as soon as you're telling them that that is something that is going to happen. Very important, and this is just about the posture. Your team doesn't work for you as a manager. You work for them. Because without a successful team, a manager is pretty much worthless. So remember that you're there for the team is not there for you. It sounds like just a play of words, but this is probably one of the most important things that I have here on this presentation. Don't ever micromanage. It's really tempting when you're really skilled at what you do to just kind of, you know, we actually have that saying, right? If you want something done right, you better do it yourself. Don't trust in that. If you have a team, you really need to believe that the team with clarity, competence, and autonomy, they're going to get to the expected results. If it is expected for a manager or a leader to do the work for the team, then I'm going to be honest with you. Why are you investing so much time in hiring? Because if at the end of the day, I'm going to tell each person what they need to do, well, I don't need the best people. I just need order takers. So if you're investing in hiring bright and intelligent and skilled people, you really need to make sure that they are entitled to do what they do best. That's why I usually say, which kind of joking but really serious, is hire bright people and then just get out of the way. This obviously ties to something that is really, really important. That is, trust your people. We are in this situation of COVID. Everyone's working from home. You have two solutions. Or you install some sort of weird software on their computers and try to monitor everything that they are doing, or you actually trusting them that they are doing their best, engaged with you, working for you, you know, kind of for the best interest of the company. And at the end of the day, what actually counts is the outcome. So you should really believe in what the people are doing, because if you don't trust your people, or you're hiring the wrong people, or your culture is completely broken, because as soon as you hire the right people, then the people start behaving in a way that you don't want them to behave. And that doesn't say a lot about your company. So you really need to make sure that the people that surround you, they have your trust, and they will reply back with their trust too. And that's how you can actually make a brilliant team. It's about trust. Also, something that I already mentioned, don't measure work by the time that it was invested. I don't care if something took just 1 minute or 2 hours. If I want to achieve an outcome, the sooner we get it, the better. Again, work shouldn't be measured by the amount of time that we are putting into it. It's just about the results that we are getting. Again, I don't care if my team is working 30 hours a week or maybe 20. If I achieve the outcomes of a week, that's brilliant. We just save time to perfect our craft, for instance. So don't be so focused on time, because time is not that meaningful, because at the end of the day, the mission of a team is not to work 40 hours a week, is actually to achieve an outcome. Don't overlook the importance of soft skills. You know, besides having people that really know their craft, you really need to make sure that you have the right balance, because team dynamics will always rely on the soft skills of everyone. You need to have someone that has probably more leader traits, someone that has more, likes to help their other peers, someone that kind of likes to, you know, kind of to search into new stuff and is probably like the revolutionary of the team. We actually have a very interesting TV show right now going on Netflix. There is The Last Dance from the Chicago Bulls, that kind of the mythical team that won a lot of stuff. Not everyone knows a Michael Jordan, and it did not to be five Michael Jordans. You need to have the right balance in terms of soft skills and attitudes so that that blend can actually make the magic. So make sure that you're actually matching and fitting the right soft skills inside your team. And then also very important, like if you say that you trust your team, then you might as well just give them the ability to make tactical decisions. And I'm going to give you just like really two small examples. The first one, the team does a daily stand-up. At what time should the team do the daily stand-up? I don't care. It's up for the team to decide. If they want to do it at 9 or at 5 p.m., that's fine for me. It's not up to me for the manager to make that sort of decision. The team should decide that by themselves. Someone wants to go on vacation. Sure. Have you already arranged everything with your team? Does the team is comfortable with you going on vacations? Just go. Why should I be kind of the manager that approves the vacations? For instance, I'm working in a company that has unlimited vacations. So trust the people. Trust that the people will use their best judgment to decide when they should go on vacations or not. Don't micromanage that. Also very important, don't try to guess what the team is feeling and the challenges that they have in front of them. Do regular health check service, for instance. No, ask the team. Try to understand next to them, what are their challenges? What should be changed? What is in it for them? What's like the next step for them in terms of evolution? Don't be afraid to ask the right questions. Also very important, and since we are talking about people, and people, it's all about the team, right? It's like, remember that when you're speaking or explaining something to someone, it is your responsibility, the person that has the knowledge, for the other person actually to understand it. Because one thing that I usually see is that people that don't understand stuff, they are afraid of asking again because, oh my God, maybe the other person doesn't think that I'm that clever because I didn't understand the explanation. No, I'm the one that has the knowledge. I have the obligation for everyone to understand what I'm saying. Otherwise, although I know a lot about something, I'm probably not that good at explaining it. So remember that it's responsibility for the people that has the knowledge, for that knowledge to be shared across the team or even the company. This is pretty much kind of almost the sum of everything, right? Always assume best intentions, you know, in actions, in conversations, even on Slack. Remember, Slack doesn't have emotions. So I can actually read the same sort of sentence and it can be really friendly or it can be really menacing. So always try to look to the bright side of life when people are kind of talking to you. It's going to make everything much more easy. And I'm almost at the end. One thing that is one of the most valuable tools for me when I'm managing a team is have meaningful one-to-ones, not sort of one-to-ones that I'm just sitting with someone, just kind of talking and asking them how is the project X, Y, or Z. No, really trust and be really engaged on what's happening with the people. So for instance, if I'm working with Tony, I want to understand how is Tony's life, what makes him happy, how happy is he with his friends at home, is everything okay, can we help somehow? Because remember, the rest of the work, we can get it as we go, but kind of really knowing your people is key. And that's why you should hold regular one-to-ones with all of them. Managing a team, as you can see, is much more about the people than the delivery. Because if you are just focusing on the delivery of the team, you're a project manager. If you're actually concerned about the people of the team, then definitely you're a team manager. Focus on flow and not on occupancy. So almost like the thing that we talked about the time, I really don't care if everyone's busy on the team or not. It's all about the output of the team, the flow. How are we delivering stuff? How we are kind of making and reaching the expected outcomes. Again, I don't care if everyone's kind of working 24/7 or not. It's all about the impact and the outcomes, not about the amount of hours. You should strive to be the manager behind a successful team, not to be a successful manager behind any sort of team. Remember, your output is the output of the team, so make sure that you have a successful one. This one is pretty obvious, and I think it's kind of wrapping up everything that we just discussed. Again, it's not about working harder, but smarter. And one thing that people also tend to ask me is, oh, but how do you measure the team? What sort of team metrics do you use? And you pretty much have like two different types of metrics. You have the vanity metrics that are pretty much meaningless and don't count a lot, and they can usually tend to be quite fooled. And you have like the real meaningful metrics that can actually say a lot about your work. And this is not, it didn't come out of my head. This is actually came out on State of DevOps 2019 report. These four key metrics that actually kind of distinguish a very successful team from a team that is not that successful at all. So my last advice to you, and because just for you to understand that everything that I kind of explained here, at least on the second part where we kind of mentioned, you know, the clarity, the competence, and the autonomy. This, although is something that I kind of understood throughout my career, this is not a secret. This is not something that only I can teach you. This is something that actually comes in the books. So these were two books that really kind of changed the way that I see the management and leading of people. One is The Turn the Ship Around with David Marquette, which is like an amazing story that can actually change the way that you see everything. And really also very similar is Drive from Daniel H. Pink. So these are like two books that if I would be a people manager and I haven't read them yet, I should read, because it takes you a couple of weeks. They are not that long, and they are going to change the way that you manage and deal with people forever. So that is it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pedro. We have a lot to chew here. Tony, are you there? Do you want to make any comment?
I think like I'd love to work with Pedro, because whatever he said like at the beginning, if you have clear like the three main aspects, that's what you could communicate. Because what we say about clarity is what we want to communicate. It's like, okay, you have to clarity about why you're working here, what is needed for you, what you're gonna do, and why. So I think like we didn't talk each other about the content of the presentations.
Sure.
So I think like I'm glad we see it the same way, and it's super cool, like all the insights, and I really believe in that. But as I say, like you say, clarity, competence, and autonomy, and I think that's the things that you have to explain whenever you want to attract talent. It's like clarity about like the goal. How is it working here? How we want to be everything. Then what knowledge or what competence do you need to have? And then like how is going to be working, the autonomy that people have. How is it like so for me, like it's the perfect complement. As you said, like you have to walk the talk. So I'm the talk, he is the walk, but like you need both of them, like in order to, but I agree totally. I come from a tech company, and I've seen like a lot of situations as well with our tech team, and yeah, I can like I was feeling like nice, well explained. So congratulations, Pedro, because I think it's very well explained.
Pedro, we have some questions here for you, and I'll start with Sergio's question about with Fabio's question on psychological unsafely environment. I guess that's Fabio, what you mean is if you, Pedro, have any practical examples on how unsafe environment is in a company.
Yes, I actually have one interesting example. That is, well, I've worked previously in a company that every time something didn't ended exactly like we expected for it to be, let's say, for instance, running at a meeting. So let's say we are in a meeting with top executives, so let's say C-level, and I decide that for that specific meeting, I'm not going to be the one that's going to present, but I'm actually going to give room for someone to present and kind of to give him like a growth opportunity. So in a psychological safe environment, if the meeting doesn't go like perfect, well, the posture is, okay, so what can we learn from this? Now let's talk to the person that did the presentation, explain to them what probably didn't went that well, what actually also went well, right? Because even when a meeting doesn't happen like we want it to happen, for instance, there are always some positive points in there. So kind of explaining to them and helping them to grow and to be better next time. In an unsafe environment, what usually happens is maybe my boss is going to call me on the phone. He's going to say, oh my God, how this happened? You can't ever put that person again presenting in these sort of meetings. Why? Because this means that it's unsafe. We are not allowed to take risks, to fail, to learn, because we are going to get punished somehow. And maybe because of that, that person is not going to get a promotion in the next performance season, for instance. So this is pretty much like a small example of what a safe environment and an unsafe environment is. A safe environment is, it's okay for you to fail as long as you learn something and you get better next time, right? Because remember, maybe it's not even that the person's fault. Maybe it was, for instance, I that didn't kind of give him enough competence for him to make a better presentation, right? So it's really easy kind of to blame someone, but then again, if you're blaming, then you're falling into the unsafe. And trust me, if I'm in an unsafe environment, why should I want to be exposed? Maybe I'll lose my job. Maybe I'll lose my reputation. So if I'm working in an unsafe environment, I will never innovate. I will never take chances because I know that the consequences will going to hurt me a lot. So that's probably like one way to see like what a safe and unsafe environment look like.
Another question that we have here from Sergio Gomes is that how to bring people back when they are demotivated. How do you have any advice?
Well, if someone is demotivated, and it's fine because, well, at the end of the day, we are humans. First of all, we really need to understand is why is that happening? So why am I demotivated? Is it personal or is it professional? Because maybe I'm demotivated because I have someone sick in my family, for instance, and I'm not working well because I'm completely distracted, right? It's not that moment in my life to be a brilliant performer because of some situation. Maybe my kid has problem at schools. So you can actually have the personal level, and then you can have the professional level. That is, maybe I don't get along with my peers. Maybe I'm not inspired with the why or the purpose of my team, and I would like to do something different. There are a lot of motives behind the motivation of someone. So the first advice for me is get down to them, understand what's the reason, the root cause behind that motivation, and and speak frankly and honestly and transparently with that person, saying, hey, I've seen this sort of behavior, or you're saying this, or I see that you're more demotivated than, let's say, last month. What is happening? How can I help you? Because that's the key. It's not about, again, punishing people because I'm going to I'm not going to promote him because he's demotivated. No, it's caring about someone. How can I help you? And sometimes the person knows exactly how they need the help. Sometimes they don't have a clue, and it's up to you to make questions, to do regular follow-ups with that person, and really be concerned about them and help them in any way you can. Usually it ends with two outcomes. One, you can actually kind of recover the person because the person starts responding, replying, and you can actually start making him motivated, and you just gain a new people or new person that is really engaged to take you to the next level. And sometimes people really just can't recover because, I don't know, maybe I don't see myself anymore in this company because of my colleague, because of what I'm doing. And it should be fine too for people to leave, because at the end of the day, we are going to spend more than half of our lives working, and everyone deserves to be happy at work. So if you don't feel engaged in what you're doing, I'm pretty sure that there will be another company where you're going to feel engaged. So don't insist in something that doesn't work. Just make sure that you can actually, move into your next thing. And maybe, maybe return after some time, because it's going to be more meaningful for you, for instance. So it shouldn't be a problem for people to stay and be motivated, or even to leave if they are not seeing themselves anymore in the company. It should not be a problem at all.
Another question here about the health checks that you mentioned. If you have any examples of questions that you would advise to do.
Yes. So again, this is not like kind of, like a secret sauce. You have a lot of surveys online where you can actually kind of, search and see them. But my health checks usually with teams is about kind of tie them to, the purpose. Do you know what's the purpose of your team? Are you happy with the quality of the code that the team produces? Are you happy with the feedback that you're receiving from the customers? Are you shipping regularly and often? So things like, because just everything that you would like to ask the team, like how happy they are with what they are doing with their day-to-day lives, with their mission, their purpose. Well, it's really easy to ask on the one-to-one, but sometimes people are shy, or they are, they are not so open about that stuff. And so a survey, an anonymous survey, please, it's really insightful because people feel that they are more safe to share their concerns and their opinions. And so you just need kind of to make sure that the people, that the team is happy with what they are doing, with the environment surrounding them, with everything. So it's that sort of questions that, you need to understand that where you score the lowest is like the things that you really need to work. Let's say, for instance, if I have a survey where people say that they are not happy, or the mission is not clear, then to me as a manager, that's a very good insight that I definitely should maybe do a workshop with the team, explain the mission, kind of find the common purpose for us to achieve, that sort of things.
Before we move forward with some more questions, and I know that Sophia has a few saved for Tony and Pedro. If you want to jump in the conversation, you can raise your hand and we can unmute you and you can join the question. We don't have much time for many questions, but please raise your hand and we'll try to be fair here, sharing the time we have left. Sophia, do you want to go on?
Yes, so it's three. It's actually two questions in the comments. One question for Pedro, following up what you already talked about, unsafe environments. Is there any way we can do it by mistake or unintentionally?
But a mistake in what sense? Kind of doing
Is there
something
any
that
way
it doesn't mean, so something that I do not on purpose that it's going to change the environment from being safe to unsafe?
Yes.
The short answer is I don't believe in that, just in one sense, because safety is not based on one-offs. It's based on culture. It's based on, principles, values, and posture, and the way that we act. So if, let's say, I never done this, by the way, but let's say by some reason I'm completely out of my mind and I just yell at the team, one-off in an entire year. Well, that's a very sad episode, and it's something that, it doesn't tell a lot about me as a manager. But if it is like a very isolated episode that happens once, and it's like an accident, it shouldn't affect a lot the safety of that environment. Because the problem is never the one-offs. The problem is that when the one-offs start to be regular, and then all of a sudden people say, oh, well, there we go to that Friday meeting where we're going to say that we are late again and we are just going to be yelled at and called incompetent. And is that sort of recurrence, and episodes after episode after episode that is going to change your culture and changing your culture to an unsafe environment? When it's like a one-off, and again, I'm not saying that that person should get away with murder, because again, if I see someone yelling at the workplace, that to me it's just unacceptable. And then obviously I will need to call that person and I'm going to explain them why that's not the sort of behavior that we promote in the company. But again, it's really hard for me to believe that one thing only could actually change an entire environment or culture. It's all about, the cadence of situations and not just one thing, I would say.
Okay, thank you. Then the comment is also for you, Pedro, regarding something you said about respecting people's time, which I fully identify with and fully defend on one hand. On the other hand, when you're talking about distributed teams in different countries, for example, there are, for example, different time frames and schedules.
Mm-hmm.
So it can happen that someone sends someone a question or a message or a report or something
True.
on a different time zone.
Yep.
And what I think is, if that happens, it's also each person's responsibility to protect their time, like muting notifications, being really off when they should be off. So it's not only from the manager's perspective, but also from each person's perspective to do that kind of protection. Because when you work some of the time asynchronously, not only due to different time schedules, but also because of that time flexibility, people with kids, no kids, people that work better in the morning, people that work better in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
You need also to create those protection barriers of your own.
But remember, Sophia, for me to create my protection barriers, there are two things that helped a lot. So the first one is actually the safety, right? Like it should be okay for me to mute notifications. So no one expects me to read that and reply back. So
Exactly.
I should feel safe to do that.
Exactly.
And even easier, this thing that I said about practice what you preach. So not only we are going to try to respect people's time, but for instance, I'm as a CEO, I'm going to say, hey people, if I send you a message out of office hours, I don't expect you to reply back. Actually, I'm going to ask you questions why you were working so late if you reply back to me. So I'm not expecting that from you, So it's kind of practice what you preach and make sure that people are safe to take actions so that they can actually kind of achieve that meaningful time for them, that me time that I need so much so that I can actually grow and become a better person and professional.
Fully aligned. One thing would be something dropping off a food for thought resource, and the other thing would be someone expecting reaction immediately, for sure. Fully aligned with that. Then the question for Tony that I didn't have the time to ask, I'm sorry, I had to join later, has to do with if you have any advice for smaller teams or smaller companies. So you gave some examples. You talked about Mindera, Bleep, Farfetch. They have a bigger structure, not only people structure, but also resource-wise. Is there any specific advice you would give to smaller companies and smaller teams regarding employer branding and how to spread the word?
If I may pick up on that, sorry, Tony, if I may pick up on that, Sophia, that's
Yes,
a really good point, because usually the smaller teams start with the founders and then the first hires are referrals. But how can these smaller teams with, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 people start creating this culture of bringing people in a more efficient way? And then I would like to pass to Pedro as well on the management side.
Yes, I think thanks, Sophia. I think everything explained, it can be done, because if you're a company of 4 people, probably you will have a website, or the founders of the 4 people that are working in the company, they will have a social link, a LinkedIn profile, or maybe we'll have a social network set up, but at least they'll have at least their own. So the first thing will be the definition of who they are, what's the purpose, what are the values they want to build on, because I think that's the most important moment when you are super small, to decide, okay, how do we want to work, how do we want to scale, in order to maintain the momentum, in order to maintain the culture that you want. What happens, I started a company, we started 8 people because we already have a tech team. So when we were 8, we said, okay, we want this kind of personality, and sometimes it's difficult, but because when we started was 7 years ago, I didn't hear that much about culture, about this kind of stuff, that now is more, people talk more about this because people value more this. So for me, it's okay, why we created this? The founders know it, why they created it. So just write it down. What are the values? At the end, the values, the things we value, but the things is as we said, what you are asking, hey, do we value that people respond at the minute, or we value people live, and we value when we work, we deliver, and we value people can make mistakes. And so we want to explain this, and then we have to make sure it's culture is one thing 1,000 times. So as we say, one off, it's not important, it's what you do regularly, and make sure of that. So for me, it's having clear, and also you can ask, if you are a people of 4, you can ask yourself, okay, why do we work here? What do we like about working here? Oh, we like because we're friends, and we do this, or we like because we have so much impact right now, because everything we do, we have a full responsibility and ownership of the projects. So explain that, sell that. When you're gonna be 80 people, probably you will have to change your value proposition. But right now, there's a lot of people who want to feel ownership. There's a lot of people who want to work in a smaller team, but be really have a really direct impact. So at the end, you have a value proposition. So create it. The same questions I did, they can be done for a team of just 4 people or for a team of 2,000. So they're the same questions. And the strategy is the same. The same way you created a website to explain your product, create a website about how is it working. And if you have 4, show picture of the 4. It's even easier. Have a video of each of you just introducing yourself, who you are, and why you think somebody should join your company. And so it's really easy because it's do it yourself and people understand it, but at the end it's communicated, and then use your passion for your project. That obviously if you're 4, I expect to have a huge passion, to show it to the world, and use your social networks to explain your project, to attract talent. Probably you won't need to hire 10,000 people. You will need to hire 1, 2, 3, 4 people. So use your network, but whenever they go check your website, you have a website explaining how is it there, not just relying on your word. That sometimes is important, but still, you can create videos in 20 seconds, and you can create websites in any time. You can make a post in LinkedIn in any time. So just make sure whatever you've done for creating your website, create the other side. So it's the same, the methodology, everything I showed, because sometimes oh, Farfetch, it's the same, they're communicating their own thing, they have their own challenges, and sometimes it's more difficult to craft a message for a huge company because they have so many cultures and it's difficult to stay like true to what you're explaining. But what you're
True.
for is super easy. Just explain your essence, and it's super easy like to explain who you are and why people should join you. And you are attractive as well. It's like when you are for, you are attractive for certain people that, as I say, like they value of working at people of for. There are some people want to work in a multinational, or they want, so you attract the people that is right for you. Because if you attract a follower when you are for, you don't want followers. You want people who can be leading, who can be have this autonomy. They want to have impact. So you have to attract these people, and not just like the skills, because you will have like sometimes we put CTOs as a co-founders in companies, and they are not co-founders because they don't want to lead a company. They just want to do their own job, and probably are not the right. So I hope I helped.
Yes, thank you so much. And I think it's really amazing. I'm really, really happy because you both are super aligned, not only in the why and the purpose, but also in the fact that culture is like values translated into actions with consistency that repeat through time. And I'm really, really happy to hear testimonials.
You know, someone once said, and it's really, really true, that is culture is what you do when no one's looking.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much like the best definition of culture that I've ever seen, you know, because sometimes people say, oh yeah, you talk about the culture and the values and the principles, but that's just kind of, you know, that's just, you know, just stuff that you say, but no one kind of, you know, it's not meaningful. But remember, culture is always there. And every time you add someone to the system, to the company or to the team, you're always going to change the culture. And your culture is going to evolve, and that's fine. You just need to make sure that you're shaping the culture in a way that we are comfortable with and that we believe that's how things should be done. Culture is not something that you can crystallize in time, because every time you add a variable, and this in this case is like one new people with new beliefs, with new way of acting, of speaking, or of behaving, it's going to change your culture, and that's not a bad thing. It's not about a culture should change, but it should always change in the way that we all see ourselves in them.
Yeah, for sure.
When you're such an early stage startup, are you able to implement all these rules or advice that you shared, Pedro? Is it possible to have these autonomy, or is it recommendable, or is it possible to implement the same advice?
I would, let's say 5 years ago, I would probably say, oh, no, not at all. Jesus, you definitely, in a small company, you should kind of, you know, make sure that you have everything really tied up, right? Kind of, you know, you don't have a lot of margin for mistakes. Today, looking back, I can definitely say yes. Because again, autonomy only works if you're competent enough to be able to be autonomous. And for you to be competent, you really need to know what you're after. So if we are like 4 people, do we know exactly what to do? Do you know how to do you know exactly how we want to change the world, like we usually say on startups? Then give them autonomy, you know, because for instance, do you know that usually in companies that have unlimited vacations is usually in companies where people tend to not use so much vacations as in companies that have actually a fixed number? Because again, it's all about responsibility. It's about commitment, engagement, and understanding what am I doing at that company. So when you give autonomy to people, even in a small company, we just need to make sure that we know what we are doing and we are coordinated in an effort. Because trust me, I will never found a company with 2 other people that they just want to be on vacation. Well, then they are not founders. They want to be all constantly on vacation. But if, let's say, you know, you, me, Sophia, and Tony, we are making a startup, trust me, we can actually have unlimited days of vacation. Probably we are going to work like nonstop for 2 years trying to make it. So at the end of the day, it's not about, I think it's important for people to understand that they can do that. It doesn't mean that because of that, people will abuse it and do it like super often and be unresponsible. Because then again, if people abuse of autonomy, then probably you're working with the right people, with the wrong people, regardless of being founders or people that you just hired. So you need just to make sure that we are aligned in terms of what we want to achieve. And trust me, if we were planning to work for a full week because we want to achieve X, and by the end of the first day, Tony comes up with a solution, well, brilliant. We actually have 4 days to go to the beach and to relax and have some drinks because we already achieved what was expected. So make sure that what drives your decisions are outcomes and not processes or kind of kind of sort of believes that no, we need to work 40 hours a day. A good example of that is, for instance, the creator of Ruby on Rails. He never worked, and I think I read that on his Twitter, he never worked 5 days of a week in almost his entire career. And he launched Ruby on Rails. And he's like super famous, and he has a lot of money, and they already participated in the 24 hours of Le Mans and stuff like that. So, because again, it's not about the hours that you put, it's about how can you get to the outcomes. It's about working smarter, not harder, because smarter is sustainable. It's like a marathon. You can do it for 42 kilometers, but if you're just kind of working in an unsustainable way, you're not going to make the right decisions, and probably everything's going to be much more difficult for you. So that's kind of my understanding of that.
Well, it's time to close this session, right, Sophia? Right, Luis, Mafalda? Let's call it. Let's wrap it up. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Sophia. Thank you, Luis. Pedro and Tony, well, you might get contacted by us again to repeat or have another session on culture and leadership. Who knows? It was really, really interesting. Thank you all for joining. You will all be receiving via Eventbrite a questionnaire, so we can evaluate our job and get your feedback for next session. So please answer this questionnaire, and bear in mind that we will have another masterclass on June 18th about how to achieve and measure product market fit. We will be doing this together with the Product Management Nights, the team here in Porto, and our guest is Rowan Gord, VP of Products at Kanunu. So there's this session coming up. Thank you all so much for being here, and well, have great and incredible teams. See you.